Welcome to Threads of Sustainability, where you get to hear the passionate, informative, and engaging conversations of creatives, makers, manufacturers, and producers from all over the globe. We explore what sustainability can look like in the quilting, fiber, and textile world, and I'm your host, Bridget O'Flaherty, also known as the Sustainable Quilter. So this week I'm talking with an artist who is in the New York area, and she uses repurposed materials in all of her artwork, which is things like bags and dryer sheets and dryer lint, whatever she can get her hands on. She doesn't really use any new materials anymore in her work. And she also loves to teach. She helps other artists to figure out where to start with all of that kind of work, if that's the kind of work that they're wanting to do. So we have a really great conversation around plastics and what plastics are doing and how they're managed in our world right now. And we also have a really great talk about some of the interesting journeys that come out from doing workshops and helping people learn how to do the work that we like to teach, and some of the processes that go along with that. And some of them, you learn big lessons along the way when you're exploring new things and new techniques. Anyway, it's a really great conversation, and I hope you enjoy it today. So welcome, Natalya, to Threads of Sustainability. I'm pretty excited to have you here today. We ended up meeting in a really weird way through a friend who had been wanting to take one of your workshops, and she told me all about this upcycling that you're doing and repurposing of materials, and I started checking you out and then contacted you, and then it turns out we are actually both going to be on a panel with about sustainability in the fall, so that we ended up realizing we were going to be meeting each other anyway.
It's a small world.
It is a small world. Anyway, welcome to the show. I'm pretty excited to talk with you today to learn more about what you're doing. I want to first sort of get some bearings in terms of where you're located now and kind of maybe some of your early story and how you got into doing textiles to begin with.
Okay. Well, thank you for inviting me to be on your podcast. It's very nice of you to do that. And fun for me.
Good.
Let's see. So I am just north of New York City in Westchester County, New York, in my studio, in my home, which it's all going to change probably by the time this podcast is out. I'm in the process of packing up and moving. But here's where I am now. And this is where I've been creating for the last 20 years.
Okay. And did you you're doing more surface texture art stuff now. And was that always where your focus was?
No, I started off in fashion illustration and then went to fashion design.
Okay.
I always thought, well, not always, but when I was a kid, I thought I was going to be a fashion designer.
Oh, okay. Nice.
Yeah. I was just something that I was determined to do. And I did do it for a little while.
Yeah.
I went to Pratt Institute in Brooklyn and got a degree in fashion design.
Oh, wow. But, okay.
Yeah. So that was.
And so you worked in that industry for a while?
I did for about 10 years.
Okay. And tell me a little bit about that. How was that for you and why did you leave?
So I wound up working in the mass market fashion industry.
Okay. So like fast fashion.
It just kind of happened that way. Pratt had a pretty extensive, program. There was couture classes, there was mass market classes, there was everything. And I hit it off with two of my teachers who worked for Gitano Jeans. Oh, okay. And they asked me to freelance during school. So and then I wound up with a job there. And
not that I'm wanting to age you, but what era was this? Gitano Jeans.
This was in the late 80s, early 90s.
Yeah, I thought I had a pair of Gitano jeans.
Yeah. Yeah, so I kind of just fell into the mass market because of those two teachers, who I'm actually still friends with today. So I worked for companies like Gitano Jeans and Sasan Jeans and those kind of things. And I did freelance work and full-time work. And that was all in, on 7th Avenue, right in the middle of
Wow.
Manhattan,
Yeah.
where
So like
it all
the
takes
fashion
place.
dream. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And it was great. I really enjoyed it. It paid well. I got to travel to Europe to
Nice.
check on fashion trends.
Hmm.
I got to travel to Israel, India, and China for production purposes. So that part was fabulous.
Yeah.
I loved traveling back then. It was great. I didn't have kids, so yeah. You want me to go where? Sure,
Yeah.
I'm going right now.
Yeah.
But eventually, I kind of lost my enthusiasm for it. Mass market clothing, it's how cheap can you make it?
Right.
Every penny counts.
Yeah. They call it fast fashion, right?
Right. It's fast fashion. Yeah. It used to be called mass market. Now it is called fast fashion. Yeah. It's how, where can you scrimp? What can be a little bit less quality, better, worse quality so that,
Right.
but still look okay. And that, I think it wears on a lot of people, but it definitely wore on me. And I got frustrated.
So going back a little bit further into your childhood, you immigrated to the US, right?
Yes. Yeah.
And so your upbringing was quite different from the average US child growing up, right?
You could say that. Yes.
Yeah. Can you tell us a bit about that story?
Sure. So we immigrated as a family in 1979 from Leningrad, USSR.
Okay.
I mean, I was a young kid. I was 11 when I got here, but that's enough to know where you came from.
Yeah.
And as an 11-year-old, you understand plenty. My brother was only 5, so I think some of it he didn't get as much as me,
Sure.
obviously. We were average citizens. My parents were dental technicians, so nothing, no highly placed party officials, not,
Right.
distinguished professors or anything like that.
Right.
So it was a very thrifty upbringing, and it was for most kids, no matter what there, because there were shortages of things. I vividly remember my very first pair of American jeans.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, my dad got them for me on the black market. He was very proud of himself for being able to afford it and get this for me. And they didn't fit.
Oh, that's heartbreaking. You want those to fit.
Yeah.
What did you do with them? Do you know? Do you remember?
I have no memory of that. Yeah.
I wonder where those pants ended up. What kind of story do they have?
I have that would be pretty cool.
Yeah.
If that could be figured out.
Yeah. So you came at fashion with some of that, right? Like that.
I suppose so. Yeah. I don't think it was conscious for me.
Sure.
I just, I always loved fashion, and that was just something I wanted to do. I remember being fascinated by textile design and print design.
Mm-hmm.
And I got to work with a little bit of that in my fashion career as well. So that was fun. I really liked the craft purpose. Like I remember reading how to make textile prints and being really fascinated by that.
Yeah.
That I didn't get to try until much, much later.
And so when you were leaving the fast fashion, the mass market fashion industry, how did you step out of that, and what were your ideas? What were you going to do?
I decided I was going to try my hand at costume design.
Okay.
Always something that I enjoyed, but I probably could have gone for it right out of high school, but I don't know why. I was fixated on fashion, but costume design I've always enjoyed as well. I had plenty of costume books from movies and theater and stuff like that. So I decided to go in that direction because I thought it would be exciting and interesting and something different yet still related. So that's what I did. I decided to work on some student films to first sort of like figure out what it was all about, because film was interesting to me.
Yeah.
Not so much theater, maybe because I was watching a lot of film. I don't know why, but so I did a couple of NYU student films.
Okay.
And that's how I met some people, and that's how, that's how that business works. It's who you know, who
Right,
you
right.
meet. They like working with you. They ask you to come to the next job with them. And that's kind of how it happened. I applied to the costume designers union and the wardrobe supervisors union because I
Okay.
realized that costume design jobs were harder to come by, but you
Sure.
could almost always get a wardrobe supervisor job, whether as an assistant or an actual supervisor.
Right.
So I wound up doing actually more supervising wardrobe supervisor jobs than costume designer jobs, but I did get to do both of those and really enjoyed that for almost a decade.
Okay. So, how did you start getting into what you're doing now?
That really started happening after I had my kids.
Okay.
So I stopped working in film because 9/11 happened and all film work in New York City stopped.
Right. Of
So
course.
I was on a hiatus and I was pregnant with a kid. So it kind of like stopped right there. So we
Sure.
decided that I would stay home with the kid. And there was two of them, 21 months apart. So
Okay. That's close.
yes, it's pretty close. Stitching was just natural to me since, playing
You,
with fabrics.
yeah.
And I started making like fabric collage because I had plenty of fabric scraps
Right.
from whatever. I used to even make some clothes every now and then. So I had plenty of fabric scraps. I remember making just some collages or something like that. And then I made them little baby quilts. Like
Okay.
I put together vintage handkerchiefs into quilts. I
Oh,
didn't
neat.
actually make a quilt.
Right.
I've actually still have never done that.
You've never made it a full quilt.
Don't judge me.
No, no, of course not.
No, never happened. I don't. And then I discovered Quilting Arts magazine.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's pretty inspirational spot.
Yeah, I was like, oh my God, look at what all these people are
Yeah.
doing, and I want to do this too. So I started doing that. Just, a little bit at a time here and there. I was, my daughters were little, so I was reading fairy tales to them. So
Right.
my first works were very much inspired by the fairy tales I was reading to them.
Okay. Okay. And what can you maybe describe what one of those might have looked like? Because you remember we're audio here, so you have to
Right.
visually describe.
Oh gosh. Okay. So I did a series of works that were inspired by the Crimson Little Flower. It's a Russian fairy tale called The Crimson Little Flower, which is inspired by Beauty and the Beast.
Okay.
And that rose
Yeah.
that's
Yeah. Yeah.
in the fairy tale that loses petals. Well,
Yeah.
that's the Crimson Little Flower. I actually don't remember the fairy tale all that well now, but
Yeah.
that flower was much more featured in the Russian fairy tale.
Okay.
So I did a series of what those looked like, and I took my inspiration from folk arts, Russian folk arts, and the
Okay.
highly decorative flowers and all of that. I'm sure you can
And so you're
conjure.
doing layers and layers of the materials that you had and then stitching that down.
Yeah, I was stitching them by machine and by hand. I was adding paper in there. I was collaging paper backgrounds, and I started right away using whatever else I had on hand. Like, I had two little girls. They wore brightly colored pink clothing.
Right.
So my laundry lint, my dryer lint was brightly colored. And guess what? It looked really cool trapped between layers of tulle.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So you started using some of the found waste, I
Yeah.
guess, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, online shopping was not what it is now.
No. No.
And I'm a very tactile person, so I think it probably wouldn't have even occurred to me back then to buy fabric online. I want to touch the fabric. So
Right, right. And would you consider yourself a thrifter? Like, do you go looking in stores for fabrics and clothes and stuff like that as well?
sometimes, yeah, I don't really shop for fabric much anymore
Right,
unless
right,
it's for something very special, which is usually clothing or something, but
right.
even that is rare.
And so you moved through this textured, tactile stuff from when your girls were really little, but you did some printing as well, right?
Yeah, I was doing some printing and painting and things like that.
And so tell me a little bit
Um,
about the materials that you're using, because we haven't talked about the materials you use yet.
so one of the discoveries I made is I started using dryer sheets.
Yeah.
I was doing a lot of laundry and there
Yeah.
would be these dryer sheets and I'd take them out and I just said I was a tactile person. I'd be touching them and be like, look at how sheer they are. How can I use them? I started off by painting them
Okay.
or dyeing them sort of. And then I discovered that I could print on them digitally.
Oh, okay. And
Yeah.
so how did you do digital printing on them? Like just with a printer, or did you take them somewhere, or you like how
No, I did them at home.
you did them
I
at
did
home?
them at
Okay.
home. I experimented with carrier sheets because there were I think by that time there were fabric sheets that you could print on.
Okay.
I remember playing with those. So I think maybe I don't know where if that's where the idea came from. I don't remember exactly, but there were fabric sheets that you could buy
Yeah.
and then print photographs on the fabric. There was a
Right,
lot of
right.
people who were doing that at that time. Actually, there probably still are.
Yeah.
And I realized that I could print on any fabric, and then I tried a dryer sheet, and it worked.
That's so cool. That's so cool. So now most of your stuff is really dealing with the surface design and texture that you're creating.
Yeah, I don't really. I mean, I do some surface design, but for me, it's more about the materials. Frequently, I won't add any surface design at all.
Okay.
Aside from if I'm using dryer sheets, I'll paint them or print on them. But usually I use plastic shopping bags these days and plastic packaging
Oh,
that,
wow.
it's everywhere. So I layer all that. It's the soft plastic that I'm talking about,
Right,
the
right. And
soft
it's
plastic, like,
is it a little bit maybe like oh, does it have an opaque translucency to it so that you can kind of see other colors underneath? Are you getting the layers and changing
right.
colors and that way? Oh, cool.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, they all come in very different transparencies and translucencies. You get
Yeah.
some that are completely opaque and others that are quite sheer. So if you pay attention and layer them, you can get quite a variety of color.
So do your friends all bring you their shopping bags now?
I've had to put a stop to that.
Okay. I can imagine. And so I want to talk about a little bit about that because we had a bit of a conversation the last time we were talking about the plastics in the world and what kind of an impact plastics are having on the environment. And like it's really kind of gross. It's really pretty gross.
Yeah.
The amount of plastics that are out there. And I can remember driving down the road heading into town, which is about a 20-minute drive for me, and seeing plastic bags hung up in trees. And I would always think like, who's going to get that out of there?
Yeah. Good question.
Where is that going to, like, what kind of end of life does that have? And in Canada, I don't know what it's like in the States, but in Canada right now, only 8% of plastics are actually recycled, even though they're sent to recycling centers. Most of them end up back in landfills.
Yeah. Yeah. The latest numbers for the US are 5%.
Wow. That's gross. And do you have any sense? I mean, I don't really know all of the policies and the reasons why that would be, but why? Why?
I took a very informative class when the pandemic started, and I'm actually thinking, I think I'm going to take it again because I'm sure there's been new developments. But there's an organization called beyondplastics.org.
Yeah.
And they educate about plastic and plastic pollution and plastic manufacturing and how it is all intertwined with our life and our government and corporations and all of that. It's really, even if you just go to their website and read all the articles on there, it's really fascinating and mind-boggling. Yeah, plastic pollution is really quite a horrendous problem, and it's a huge contributor to climate change or the climate emergency that we're in right now.
Yeah, well, it breaks down into microplastics, which get into our food systems, and we're ingesting that ourselves, and they come with carcinogenic properties and hormonal shifts and all kinds of things that happen to our health with ingesting those microplastics.
Yeah, we We ingest about a credit card's worth of plastic every week.
Oh my God. That's
Yeah.
horrible. That's horrible.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you feel like, I get overwhelmed by the magnitude of the environmental impacts that our materials have on the planet. And I don't know, the way that I try to battle that is that I'm one person trying to make a difference and trying to do my own small actions that can hopefully inspire other people to maybe do that kind of stuff. And that's how I cope with it through my art. And do you have a similar kind of take on it? Like one of the series you talked about with me is you have a nature inspired series. And so is that kind of a way for you to help battle that eco overwhelm?
Kind of, yes. It is all overwhelming when you learn all the facts and you're being bombarded by it. It's very depressing to think about. But I think that the more we talk about it, the better it is for us and the planet. Because I think one of the things is a lot of people don't know about the devastation that
the full extent of it
and everything else is causing to our planet.
Yeah.
There's a gajillion people out there that just don't know. Of course, there's also people who don't want to know, but if you concentrate on the people who don't know and you share what you know, that's a great thing. That, of course, can lead to the overwhelm. But what I think is that if you're telling people about it, you're engaging them in conversation, I think it's important to tell them that every little thing counts.
Yeah.
So if you make sure that your plastic trash goes in a trash can and not outside of the trash can, that's huge right there.
Yep.
If 10 people do that, that's better.
Yeah. And if you're paying attention to it in terms of recyclable, and there are systems in place, and in Canada they're everywhere. I don't know how they are in the States, but in Canada there's organizational systems for putting your plastic in one, putting your cardboard in another, and putting your trash in another. And if we actually put the right things in the right places and we're not having a whole mix, it really helps out the people who are actually trying to do the recycling at the other end, right?
Yeah, unfortunately, in the US and probably in most of the world as well, the recycling system is really broken. Yeah. It works really well for glass and metal and paper.
Yeah.
But for plastic, it's a broken system, unfortunately. Yeah. From what I understand, only number one and number two plastics are truly recyclable.
Okay.
All the other plastics are not always recyclable.
Okay. Well, maybe that's why that number shifts, right? That we, even though we're like here in my township where we do our recycling, we can do numbers 1 through 6. But I don't know how much of that actually gets recycled.
Yeah. And what happens when all those numbers are commingled? Like, how do they really separate them?
Yeah.
It doesn't always work. A lot of there's unfortunately with recycling, a lot of it is greenwashing, where they make you think that you're doing a good thing and you're recycling it, but in the end, it doesn't actually get recycled.
Yeah.
I would highly recommend everybody visit their local recycling plant to just see what actually happens there. You can get tours there.
Yeah. Well, and there are some recycling places that are really great about what they're doing. And so this is not to say that there is no good recycling happening, because there's definitely people out there and companies out there that are really making the effort. And if they all would, it would be fantastic. But right now it's the smaller percentage, unfortunately, are the only ones that are really following through with everything that they're actually committing to.
Right. That's why we got to keep talking about it.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. And I think that seeing art done through these kinds of materials, like there's lots of different ways to express concern for the environment or concern for people and political things, whatever. There's lots of different ways through art to have that voice. And I think I love what you're doing with repurposing waste to be beautiful things. And then people have the irony of realizing, oh, that's made from plastic bags
Yeah.
that were garbage. Oh, dryer sheets? What?
Yeah.
And I think that it's really it's a really inspiring way to step into educating for people. I think it's a really interesting way to give that knowledge to people for it to be beautiful and have that the dichotomy that's there. I like that.
Right. Yeah, that's what I try to do. I figure first of all, it's a free art material as far as I'm concerned, right? If it's not recyclable, but I can make it into something beautiful.
Right, which is an economic
Yeah.
awesomeness. Yeah.
So it's it's good for being thrifty. You don't have to spend a lot of money on it.
Yeah.
It's just there. You're buying groceries. They're all wrapped in plastic. You're doing laundry. You've got the dryer sheets. So
Yeah. And so it's just learning how to use the materials. And so and you teach this stuff. You have also a book that you can get.
Yeah.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit more about what your workshops are like. Like what does somebody learn in a workshop of yours?
Well, depending on what workshop they take, we can learn all about how to stitch with single-use plastic, how to layer it, how to cut it, how to stitch it, how to finish it, how to add paint to it, how to add other surface design to it. We can take a class and learn how to work with dryer sheets, from just painting them to printing on them digitally. I've been doing a lot of nature inspired work lately, but what I'm really known for is the architecturally inspired work.
Okay. Describe that to me. What does he mean architecturally inspired? So buildings?
Yes, buildings.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm a city girl. I've always grown up, even though I live in suburbia, but I've grown up in the city. I love architecture in all its forms. So when I first moved on from making art inspired by fairy tales, I started making architecturally inspired art. The juxtapositions of different buildings, I would collage them in Photoshop for my own photographs, and then do them out of fabric, some repurposed materials as well.
Okay.
So I actually teach a whole workshop that's all about how to make those architectural compositions from the very beginning of the composition itself to a completely finished product. And in that course, I encourage you to use repurposed materials to create that artwork.
Awesome. And so tell me a bit more about the nature inspired stuff. Like what kind of subjects are you doing? What are you doing in that?
Well, actually, mostly I've been doing flowers from my own backyard.
Oh, nice. And so you have a big garden in your backyard?
Not really, but I have some, I have lilacs and peonies. Those are my favorites. And I have some
the peonies are amazing. I love a peony.
Yeah. So I just, I love flowers. I not much of a gardener, but I can make you an artwork with a flower.
And so tell me about what are they, big pieces? Do you do little pieces? Like give me some scale.
I started by doing small pieces and just, lightly abstracting the shapes and then playing with the colors, going from trying to be somewhat realistic to completely unrealistic color schemes, because it's fun. Because, plastics comes, they come in all sorts of colors. So you can get really fun with it, and you can use the writing on the plastic, the prints, the graphics to add to your artwork. So I sort of I started small, and I've made some pretty large ones now.
So what's pretty large? What's that mean for you?
I think that the two pieces I just finished, they were 48 by 36.
Okay. Yeah, that's large.
Yeah.
That's a good size.
Yeah. And I love seeing, the flower is small. Like one of them, I did a dogwood flower, which is, the 2 inches across or something like that. To be able to make a small flower really large, 2 feet across, that's always fun.
Yeah. Yeah. I love doing the big things like that and blowing things up and having big space. I work big. I like working big. So tell me a little bit about the process that you're doing. Like, I come at this from a quilting mind, which you've said you're not a quilter. You've never made a quilt. But you do. Are your pieces, are they layered so that they're considered a quilt, or are they just the surface design? Are you doing quilting on them? Are you doing applique? Sorry.
I'm doing thread paint. I'm doing all of those things.
Okay.
I layer my plastics for the flowers, especially. I layer them and then I stitch the outlines and I cut away to reveal some of the colors underneath, depending on, what
Okay.
I'm trying to achieve. And I add a lot of stitching to it, I call it thread painting. So
Yeah. Yeah. That's
I
what
have,
I do.
you can see my thread wall back there. So
Yeah.
I play with all the colors and I add, so I don't usually add paint to my plastics, but I
Okay.
do add color with thread.
Yeah. Yeah, which is in a way I love being able to do that. Yeah, I thread painting is my favorite thing to do. That's I love doing thread painting. And
It's so
then
much fun. You get so
it is.
lost in it.
Yeah, yeah, you kind of there's a rhythm to it, and I
Yeah.
can totally get lost in thread painting. And you work on a domestic machine?
Yeah, I have an industrial machine too.
Okay.
I have a domestic Bernina and I have an industrial Bernina as well, which
Okay.
is really the only difference is that the motor is stronger and there's a little bit more room in the throat.
Sure, sure. And do you have a free motion on that industrial?
No, I just put the feed dogs down.
Okay. And you just play.
That's it. Yeah.
Okay. I'd be terrified of getting my hands under the needles.
Well,
It's happened a few times.
it happened.
Yeah. So the last time we were here talking, you had a piece on the wall that that you're working on. Can you describe that piece to me?
Sure. It's now on my table here.
Okay.
I've been working at it for a while,
Are you able to show it?
but it's radio.
I know. And visually I can see. Oh, so it's circular.
Yes. So what it is I'm working on the cutting out of the little leaves here. This is going to be for a ceiling of a casino.
Wow.
So I was commissioned to do a circular artwork, which is it's going to be a 24-inch circle, but it's going to be blown up to be a 53-foot circle.
Wow. And so what are they
Yeah.
blowing it up onto? Like, are they going to be printing it?
Yes. So they're going to
Onto-
take a high resolution scan of it and then
Okay.
print it onto vinyl and put it on the ceiling of this
Wow.
casino.
Wow. That's amazing. And it will have been, and so it was really interesting. Your show, I could see the detailing when you showed the camera there, and I'll get a picture of it and we'll show it when we send it out by email and on social media so that people can go take a look at it. If you can just show like a picture of the cutout leaves, it looks like there's like 10 layers or something in there.
Yeah, there's probably 10 or 12 layers of plastic.
And then you
'cause
cut out this
those-
intricate detail to give almost an impressionistic look to it.
Well, so I have to work really highly detailed because remember, this is going to get blown up
Right. It's going to be
quite
huge.
big.
Yeah.
And it's supposed to look like a canopy of leaves.
Oh, cool.
Is
It does look
the-
like a canopy of leaves.
Oh, good.
Yeah, it does. It really does.
So it's supposed to be an autumnal color scheme,
Yeah.
and a canopy. So I am now cutting through it, revealing. I've stitched all the leaves. I'm just revealing all the layers of plastic here and there and making sure,
I guess the cool thing is you
there's
don't get frayed
flow.
edges with the plastic, right?
No, you do
That's-
not have to worry about your edges at all.
That is pretty cool. I like that. I want to say thanks for talking with me today. It's been really fascinating. It's been a great conversation. I really enjoy, I don't know, I like talking with people and engaging about problems with the environment, but then some solutions that we're coming up with individually, the small actions that we're taking to try and make a difference in our practice. And I love hearing about the different things people are embarking on. And I really like sharing your story. I like hearing your story.
Well, thank you for inviting me. I love talking to you.
This is very cool. I love talking to you about all this stuff. You've got a really fascinating story, really. And
I hope I didn't get too negative there.
no, I don't think so. I think that people need to know that this is the stuff that weighs on artists, and on anybody really. It's not just artists, but I think kind of particularly on artists that it can be pretty overwhelming to feel alone and in your silo of it's kind of despairing, really, to be
Yeah.
thinking, oh my God, there's all this going on. And here I am in my little studio trying to make a difference. Is there any point? Am I going to get there? I don't know. So I think that being able to talk about it and have that, like you said, just giving people the awareness of what's actually going on, but then also the tools for ways to kind of help your heart heal a little bit with it, right? And you feel like you're
Yeah,
doing
no,
your contribution.
yeah, I think so. I think people, well, first off, people don't realize just how much plastic is out there. I have plenty of times people are like, I want to sign up for your class, but I don't have any plastic.
Right.
That's what they'll say. Be like,
It's like, have you
yes,
looked
you
at what you
do.
threw
You
away
just,
this week? Yeah.
yeah, you just need to open your eyes and kind of think differently.
Yeah.
So I think, that is a good way of getting people to be aware. But yeah, then it's like also, well, yeah, it doesn't have to go into the trash can if it's not recyclable. It could be made into art.
Yeah. And then the other thing be alongside all of that is giving yourself permission to explore beyond what we think art is,
Yeah.
right? And especially as textile artists, what we're thinking textiles are, this is kind of pushing those boundaries as well, which is really awesome to do when you are on a journey of figuring out what your voice is and what you want to say and how you want to say it. Pushing
Mhm.
those boundaries of what is normal is really healthy and really good. And I think that it's a really interesting process for people to go through.
I agree. And it's a challenge too. And I think a challenge is always good for the creative mojo.
Yeah.
It's good to have a challenge to solve.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Do you find, like, in your classes, do you find people going through kind of a process and discovery of like a realization in their creative journey? Like, do you see that happening when you're teaching classes?
Yeah. Yeah. I do. I think sometimes people get disappointed and they're kind of like, oh, this is not doing what I want it to do.
Yeah,
How come it's doing it in what you're doing? I'm like, well, because I've been doing it for a very long time. I'm
sure.
giving you the tools, but you still have to go through the process.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but I think a lot of times people will learn the skills in my class, and then they go and experiment, and then I'll get an email like a month later. I'll be like, look what I did. It actually worked.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that part of people going on those journeys. I remember when I took one of my first classes back in my 20s. It was with a very well-known quilter out west. And I went and took a class with Joan Wolfram. I don't know if you know her work, but she does a lot of books on color theory and does some really beautiful landscape work. And she's a mentor for me. And I spent a week with her at a college doing an intensive design course in color theory. Came back so inspired and so excited. And then went right into another week-long course with another artist who does charm quilts. So much more impressionistic in style rather than realistic in style. They were landscapes still, but they
Mhm.
were a charm quilt is every square is different, or every piece you put on is a
Oh,
different,
okay.
usually calico prints or floral prints of some sort. And so
Okay.
she did some really beautiful calico landscapes. Her name's Anne Bird, a well-known Canadian artist. And so I went and took a class with her, and I hated it.
Oh,
especially
no.
especially after taking this other really, I didn't hate Anne. Anne was amazing. Anne Bird, she was an amazing person, and we're still friends today. But the process and the type of quilting that I was doing with her, I went through it, and I got to the end of the week and she said, you know what, it's okay to figure out what you don't like.
Definitely.
And I
Oh my
went,
God. Yeah.
okay, great. Whew,
Yeah.
this wasn't a waste of time. I'm like, okay, charm quilt's not for me.
Yeah. No,
Okay.
definitely. That is so important to figure out.
Yeah,
I think it's
absolutely.
in some ways it's more important to figure out.
Yeah, I think so too. I think having those lessons and having those disappointments and kind of going, wait a minute, what can I take out of this? what I now know what I really do like. It's great to know what I don't like because it's taking me in another direction.
Yeah.
And it totally did. Like I just kind of parked that idea and ran with the realism and the strip piecing and the landscaping in that direction. And then I moved into the thread painting and adding it as embellishments. And yeah, it was really, I followed what jived with me. It's a great lesson to learn.
Yeah.
I love that part about teaching and taking classes. Yeah. Anyway, we'll end it now. I'll let you get back on with your evening. But yeah, you see, all these extra conversations come on after we think we're done.
I bet we could keep going too.
Oh, I'm sure we could. Thank you so much for this. It's really been, it's lovely. I feel every time I get to talk to somebody, I feel like I've just made a new friend. It's so great. And I'm just,
definitely,
it's really lovely.
And it's great because there's so many kindred spirits out there. It's always really, really heartening to find that there's one more kindred spirit.
There's community out there, and it's worth doing. Yeah, it's totally worth doing and worth connecting. And the more we find these connections, the bigger the community is going to be, and it's just going to, I don't know, maybe we will save the world.
We will. You have to believe that.
I kind of do, actually, because if I don't, then what am I doing? So
right. No,
anyway,
we will.
Yeah.
Artists will save the world.
Sounds good to me. I just love having these kinds of conversations. It's so great to find another, I don't know, kindred spirit to be able to talk to about some of the issues that are going on in the world and some of the things that we're passionate about and being able to make a difference through our work. One of the organizations she talked about was beyondplastics.org, and you can go there if you want to learn more about how plastics are managed. The other thing that we talked about was an event that she and I are both going to be part of coming up in September, and it's with the Quilters Alliance, and it's called Quilters Take a Moment. It's an event happening, and we are both on a discussion panel with Zach Foster, and that discussion panel is called Sustainable Stitching, Making Quilts with the Earth in Mind, and I think there are 6 panelists going to be on that, moderated by Zach Foster, and that is happening on Friday, September 16th, and if you are wanting to be a part of that and be able to listen to that, you can go to the Quilters Alliance website and buy tickets for the event. There are a bunch of other panelists and keynote speakers. I think Tula Pink is one of the keynote speakers, Carla Hemlock, and a whole bunch of other people are really amazing quilters and having sustainability in their work that they do. So really great opportunity to be able to listen and hear about some of the great things that are happening in sustainability around the quilt world. You can also keep an eye out on social media because there are some ticket giveaways going to be happening. If you've signed up for my email list, you may get an opportunity to enter into a draw for a free ticket for that event. So check that all out. If you're interested in a community that engages with sustainability in quilting and textiles, you can join the Learning Hub at BridgetO'Flaherty.com. There you will find memberships, online courses, supplies, and resources for sustainability and my textile art. You can also book me to speak with or teach your group. You can find me on social media at The Sustainable Quilter. Don't forget to comment, like, and share, and to follow me on your favorite podcast app so you won't miss an episode. Thanks for joining me, and I'm so excited to share this journey with you. Until next time, happy stitching.